And we are. Hold on here. All right, we're live. Welcome to Weekend Movie Talk on the Movie Addiction Podcast. I think Saturday and Sundays at 2 o'clock is when that's going to happen. I think I'm going to take Fridays off. Not entirely sure. But I do want to make content every night, and since I'm doing the midnight movie talks, at least Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m., figure we do some weekend shows also to catch up on all the stuff that either drops over the weekend. We had some announcement yesterday that I didn't quite have a chance to get to, and just other stuff that I missed having a chance to talk about throughout the week because I'm limited to half an hour due to my schedule here. But with that being said, we'll start with the first couple big stories from yesterday. The first was, once again, boycott WB was trending on Twitter. I won't spend a whole lot of time on this because I don't really understand it. It doesn't seem to be a story to me. This seems to happen once every couple weeks. This particular time, I believe it was stirred by the news that Geoff Johns was going to be writing the new Flashpoint. That got everybody talking about how terrible he is, and then connected to, oh yeah, Warner Brothers is terrible too. Geoff Johns, of course, the executive producer on all the DC EU movies, or at least a lot of them. And people have been calling for a boycott because of how WB handled the Snyder Cut and the Snyder DC universe. And, Geoff Johns and Joss Whedon were mean to Ray Fisher, and nothing ever got done about it. And the Johnny Depp thing pisses me off too, but I'm not a big fan of boycotts. Especially when you look at all the other shit that goes on in the film industry. I mean, I was talking about John Cena on the last stream because of Peacemaker. And nobody even blinks anymore about the fact that he totally bent over for China and apologized for admitting that, was it Taiwan or Tibet or something like that existed. We're totally fine with pandering to a communist dictatorship that literally has concentration camps. And we're okay with all this crazy COVID shit that's happening, all different people, and that directly leads into the first real story I'll talk about. But there's so many different other big issues going on that people don't seem to care about. But someone was mean to Ray Fisher, and so we're going to boycott WB about it. Which also, by the way, doesn't make any sense at all, because it's not going to work. It's not a big enough group of people. Another reason why they're boycotting is because the Snyderverse, as it were, has kind of been dismantled. Superman's not coming back. Batman's not coming back, I believe, in that form. We're getting Batgirl and Supergirl or something like that, and people are upset about it. But look, hey, you getting mad on Twitter is not really going to have that much of an effect, because at the end of the day, people are still going to go see these movies. And if they don't, it's because they don't want to see woke bullshit. It has nothing to do with the fact that somebody said something mean to Ray Fisher or Zack Snyder or whatever the case. So we'll get into the first main story. This comes from Hollywood Reporter. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever to resume filming next week with Letitia Wright. The actor, who was injured in August, will be back on set in Atlanta. And I'll read through the article and cover a couple different points. To me, a lot of people were talking about the boycott WB thing, but there wasn't anything new, really, new images from Batgirl. It was just another reason for people to talk about why they hate Warner Brothers. Not much of a story. To me, this was the big story yesterday. Was not only was it announced that Black Panther's going to be filming again, which is a good sign because it means that they should be able to get it done in time to hit that November release date. I believe that's when it's scheduled to come out. But also the big news, Letitia Wright's coming back. And a lot of people have had mixed opinions about that. She was hurt on the set, apparently pretty badly, but also she's pissed a lot of people off with her COVID opinions, her anti-vax stance, if you will. And so, and we know how Disney likes to just write people off, no matter how big their roles are. We saw that with Gina Carano, and so they very easily could have bumped Black Panther back just a little bit, taken her out of it, or at least made her role a lot smaller, because originally it seemed like she was going to be the main character in this Black Panther movie. Now it might be M'Baku, I think. I was reading a little bit about that, but I'm not entirely sure. Nonetheless, we'll get to just the first main articles or so about this the first main paragraphs or so of this article. After several setbacks, among them a major onset injury and COVID-19 infections, Marvel Studios' Black Panther Wakanda Forever is finally restarting production, with star Letitia Wright healed and back in Atlanta ready to resume her role as fan favorite character Shuri. Production was initially to have restarted last Monday, but was delayed thanks to several cast and crew, Lupita Nyong'o among them, testing positive for COVID-19. Shooting is due to resume in Atlanta next week on the Ryan Coogler-directed picture for what sources say will be for about 4 weeks. Last August, Wright suffered an injury while filming a sequence involving a stunt rig on location in Boston. Production then shut down in late November after the Wakanda Forever team filmed as much as they could without Wright, while she continued to heal at her home in London. Eyes were on Wright, a British citizen, because she had expressed anti-COVID vaccine sentiments. The CDC, late last year, implemented rules requiring all non-immigrant, non-citizen air travelers to the U.S. to be fully vaccinated and provide proof of vaccination status before boarding a plane. While not commenting on her vaccination status, several sources say those issues have been resolved. She pissed a lot of people off with that, and as I foreshadowed, that's probably the main topic of this whole news story is Letitia Wright. Even though there's a lot of different angles as how you could view this news, as I mentioned before, but her coming back, her apparently still having a main role, is exciting to me because this COVID stuff it's nonsense anymore to really write someone off for differing opinions on this. It's getting a lot better, and so I'm happy to see her back. Although this does bring me back to the conversation that comes up every time there's any Black Panther news of what are they going to do with Black Panther since Chadwick Boseman is no longer with us. And there's a couple things on that. The first, one of my last videos that I made before the end of the year, we talked about, because there was a big conversation on Twitter on whether or not they should recast T'Challa, and I'm in favor for it, but I'm also in favor of them just having him in there via CGI and AI recreation and stuff. I think they've done it well before, and I don't think it's quite the same as going to see a Tupac hologram at Coachella, because we've seen it done well with Star Wars and other properties, and it's not that much different than the de-aging that they've done in almost every Marvel movie. His family can keep getting paid. Might be a little creepy and a little weird to get used to, but that's what I would prefer they do. Doesn't sound like they're doing that. It sounds like Shuri or M'Baku's just going to step in and be the main character. But that's another reason why this movie is so interesting, because 3 of the last few big giant Marvel movies, they've been totally secretive, basically. We kind of knew the gist of Black Widow. We knew what was happening there. Spider-Man Far From Home also. But Avengers Endgame, half of that movie had to be a secret because giving away anything would have given away key plots. I mean, none of the advertising indicated anything about time travel, and that ended up being the entire movie. So we got the trailers made up of, I think we got like 3 2-minute trailers all made up of like the first and last few minutes of the movie. None of the meat was really shown. And then with Spider-Man, they didn't want to share any of we knew that some of the main villain characters from the other movies were coming back, but the whole multiverse shared characters, the main ones like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, they really kept that under wraps. And so that movie was so secretive too. And this one, I think, is going to be the same thing because nobody knows where they're going with it. Nobody really knows what they're going to do, and I think we'll just have to wait and see it. But with this news, it sounds like we probably will see this by the end of the year, which is very exciting to me. The next big story that came out yesterday is one of, I think, 4 news stories last week that revolved around movies being adapted into TV shows, 3 of which for Disney Plus. We heard about Hell or High Water. I can't remember where that one was going to land, but then we know that Disney Plus is getting a Real Steel spinoff series, and they added some cast to their National Treasure spinoff series. And now we also know that Tim Allen is coming back for a Santa Claus series at Disney Plus. It's going to be put together by the team of Last Man Standing, also, which is kind of cool to see them working with Disney Plus, because I know there was some controversy around that show because it was a conservative leaning show or something to that effect. It had gotten canceled a couple of times. just due to the opinions expressed in it, and people were always wanting to boycott Tim Allen because he's a Republican or whatever. But here's that story. This is from Deadline. Tim Allen to headline the Santa Claus sequel series for Disney Plus from Last Man Standing team. Tim Allen is returning to Disney and to the North Pole. The actor-comedian is set to star in and executive produce The Santa Claus, that's the working title, a Disney Plus original limited series in which he will reprise his role as Scott Calvin from the Walt Disney Pictures holiday franchise. Allen is reuniting with Jack Burdett, creator of Allen's hit... scrolled away from me. I don't think I need to go into it too much. Basically, we don't have a whole lot of information on this other than Tim Allen's coming back, and it's going to be a limited series. So if it's successful, then we'll probably get like a new season each year right around Christmas time. If they're smart, I think that's the way they do it, because Christmas movies come out every year, and usually shows have a Christmas episode or two. But if we have a Christmas show that comes back every year at Christmas, I think that's a pretty smart move. Let's see. Oh, it scrolled back up for me. Is reuniting with Jack Burdett, creator of Allen's hit TV show Last Man Standing, who will serve as executive producer and showrunner on The Santa Claus. Yeah, that's pretty much all we have to say on there. We don't know who else is coming back. I'm sure a lot of the other cast is coming back. I want to know if David Krumholtz is coming back because I haven't seen him in anything recently. This is cool. I'm kind of glad to see all these... Santa Claus wasn't on my mind, just as Real Steel wasn't on my mind. That being said, I am excited to start seeing these movies being explored more through the vehicle of TV shows, because it takes a lot more to make a movie to make a TV show. At least that's the way it seems. And with TV shows, we get more content. We explore the universe a little more. I've been a giant fan of all the Marvel stuff that's come out over the past year. And, yeah, I'm here for this, and I'm excited to see Tim Allen back because I haven't seen him in anything. I didn't even watch Last Man Standing, so I think the last thing I might have seen him in was like Toy Story 4, which is only a voice role. And I remember when that movie came out, everybody was wanting him out of it because of his political beliefs. It seems like that's died off a little bit since this is coming back, and a lot of people are excited about this, so... we'll see. I'm not sure when this is set to air. Probably if they get on it, they can get it out by this coming Christmas. They've got a full year. But we'll see. If not, it'll probably be next year. But I can't imagine something like this taking too long to write and put together. I can't imagine they needed a creative genius to pitch an idea for this. It's right along the same lines as Rick Moranis coming back for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, even though I have no idea where they're at with the development of that show, but this is right along with that, so very exciting stuff. The next story is also from Deadline, and if it loads for me... Sorry, this is taking forever. I need to get a better setup out here. But if I remember correctly, this story is about Anthony Hopkins set to film the first ever movie filmed in Antarctica, and I'll get to the article, but that's the gist of the story. Zero Contact with Anthony Hopkins, acquired by Lionsgate Grindstone. Okay, so Zero Contact with Anthony Hopkins has been acquired by Lionsgate Grindstone. The Enderby Entertainment is what made the movies. It's making sequels and history in Antarctica. And this was a film company who I'd never heard of, but apparently their solution to making movies during the pandemic was making like documentary-themed found footage type movies with people on Zoom in different areas, all done remotely. If I remember correctly, I'm not entirely sure. This is an exclusive from Deadline. It says, Enderby Entertainment's Zero Contact, a novel solution to the conundrum of making films during the pandemic, has been acquired in the U.S. by Lionsgate Grindstone Entertainment. The film, which features Hopkins playing a tech tycoon communicating by Zoom with characters shot in 17 global locations, will be released in May. Meanwhile, 2 sequels are in the works. 6 shooting days in December made history, per the producers who say theirs is the first scripted feature ever to film in Antarctica. So, a couple things on this. This is, just a month ago, I guess. I don't really think that they can say that this is creative during the pandemic. If they would have done this 2 summers ago, of the way that some comedians took to actually being innovative and figuring out how to perform comedy during the pandemic. They are already outside the pandemic on this. They could have. Why don't they just say we had a good movie that we came up with during the pandemic and we shot it afterwards? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but nonetheless, they shot it. It's Anthony Hopkins. That's always exciting. What's crazy to me is this is the first scripted series to film in Antarctica. Obviously, we've got a lot of Nat Geo shit and documentaries and stuff like that have been filmed in Antarctica, but no actual, like, satirical films. I don't think I said that right. But anyways, but the Russian commies filmed in space last year. I know Tom Cruise was supposed to film in space, but they ended up canceling that. But how have people filmed movies in space, but not on the South Pole? It's kind of interesting to me, but nonetheless, Anthony Hopkins has done it, and so I don't know if he had done it. A character in the movie that he's going to be in has done it, and it apparently is record-breaking, which technically it is, but you know, not as cool as if they announced that they're filming, I don't know. I guess we're kind of running out of places where they could be the first to film there. Space was really the last one. So Antarctica's cool, but this comes after the Russians filmed in space. We should have been the first to do that. That's why nobody's talking about the Antarctica thing. You'd think it'd be bigger news just because it is record-breaking, the first movie to film there, this and that, but it was like buried on Deadline. I think I saw an article about it on Screen Rant too, but it wasn't like this big giant story the way that something like that should be, and it's because that really fails, in comparing when we're talking about, the feats of film that haven't been achieved lately. There's another story that dropped this week, and I'll probably wrap up just after two more. I figured I'd just get on 20 minutes, run down some of the stuff we missed this week. Netflix is plotting Red Notice back-to-back sequels. Dwayne Johnson, Gal Gadot, however you say it, and Ryan Reynolds all expected to be back. So we got the official announcement of this, but this isn't a surprise to anybody. This was actually when Dwayne Johnson first got signed for Red Notice, before it even landed at Netflix. This was set to be his first major franchise that he was a lead of. Of course, between when it was first announced, 2014 or 2013, Jumanji has existed, and I think a couple other franchises at least that have had at least one film. I think we can expect Jungle Cruise to be a franchise. He's the lead of that. But he was a big, giant action star. He's been for the past decade and a half or something like that, but a lot of spin-off or standalone type movies, not franchises. This was going to be his James Bond or his Jason Bourne kind of thing. And so I knew that the first Red Notice movie was just going to be a kickoff to the franchise, especially because the whole thing in the trailer and the whole premise of what they said the movie was going to be, you've been put on Red Notice, that wasn't even in this movie. This was just basically the origin story for these three characters that are now going to go on and have all kind of crazy adventures. So they probably had all this stuff ready to go already and were just making sure that this was a hit before they announced it. But everybody knew it was going to be, because you really can't go wrong with Ryan Reynolds, you can't go wrong with The Rock, and you can't really go wrong with Gal Gadot. So putting them all together and putting them on Netflix, even though Netflix apparently needs more money because they're hiking up everybody's subscription price, we knew it was going to be a hit. One more real quick before I get off here. A Beanie Babies Baby movie has been announced with Zach Galifianakis. And I was super excited when I saw this because my dumbass thought they were talking about like a live-action Beanie Babies movie. No, this is going to be about the creation of the Beanie Baby, apparently. Not sure what roles they're playing, but Zach Galifianakis and Elizabeth Banks have been cast in it. And I'm getting the founder vibes, but I'm not entirely sure. So, yeah. We're getting also Final Destination 6. Venom 2 is getting re-released. I think those are all the other big stories that I missed this week. So, yeah, that'll do it for this one. I will mention at the end of every video, or at the end of every live stream for the next 12 days now, I'm going to give you my top movie list for the past year for 2021, since I didn't get to do a video at the end of the year. So I said number 13 last video was Shang-Chi. Number 12 is Godzilla vs. King Kong. doesn't need a whole lot of explanation there. It was the first big blockbuster outside of the pandemic, and it did not disappoint. And it didn't land in my top 10 list, but I wanted to put it on the list because it's Godzilla versus King Kong. It's exactly what I wanted it to be. So there you go. Thanks for watching. That was the weekend movie talk. Might do another one of these tomorrow. If not, I'll do a midnight movie talk tomorrow, which will be at 11 p.m. So join me here either at 11 or 2 tomorrow. And if not, Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. midnight movie talk on the Movie Addiction Podcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.